I have always been destined to be a fighter. I got my first lesson when I entered this world as Ellakisha and fought to remain in it when I wrestled with death for weeks in an incubator that came to me in the form of a bronchial infection. I guess I showed how committed I was to my assignment as the human incarnation of the divine expression, because I survived it, and it's been game on ever since. I've made it my mission to empower individuals. I've dedicated my vocation to empowering athletes and creatives. And I know that some people view these talents as just entertainers. Well, as an athlete who has competed in track and field for over 20 years on all levels, high school, college, and professionally, I view them as vessels blessed with gifts to use their platforms to speak a universal language, to unify, and to heal. In other words, to do more than just entertain, but to also empower my neighborhood, your neighborhood, to create communities that can shift this world. Sports and arts have always been used to move us forward socially, economically, and politically. So despite the attempts to undermine this truth at times, powerful platforms are and will continue to be created in these industries. This is why, as a sports and entertainment attorney, my form of activism is not only to use the stroke of a pen to advocate for economic inclusion in these multi-billion and trillion-dollar industries, but to also empower the talent's mindset on the importance of ownership being the foundation that can effectuate change. But in my quest, I found that there are two wars. And I know in every problem, there are questions waiting to be answered and answers waiting to turn into action. So I've asked myself, why must I fight this war with vultures on the one end? And then I have this battle with individuals to convince them to not willingly become prey. Why do the individuals in these industries transfer their powers from the platform? Well, during COVID-19 isolation, I've had a lot of time to sit and reflect and get answers to these questions, answers that have already been there. But during this pandemic, that light has just illuminated a lot brighter, because we have been forced to come face to face with a lot. Social injustices, inequalities, disproportionate effects of this virus. And what I've realized is that the issues I see in the business of sports and entertainment is cut from a larger cloth that covers the issues of our world. A cloth that is hemmed together by the threads of social engineering. What is social engineering? You're going to hear me say that a lot, because social engineering is the art of exploiting the human psychology. It is the management of human beings in accordance to their place and function in our society. And in our society, some things have changed, but the foundation has not, and everything is affected by that. We are suffering from a condition that encourages immediate reactions to unacceptable circumstances, but not demanding responses that can effectuate change. This is why I believe we feel stuck at the brink of true evolution. Why do we find ourselves asking the same questions over and over? Why do we find ourselves debating the same points again and again? My answer? Because there is no clear purpose or true execution without deconstructing social engineering. A plan for anything cannot be impactful if we're not prepared, yes, but also if we don't become the condition in our mindset, our heart set, and our courageous spirit to see it forth. This brings me to my main point. Can you all come back with me? Just come back with me for a moment to a time where I got an aha moment when I first saw The Wiz. And some of you may be asking, what is The Wiz? Well, it's the soulful version of The Wizard of Oz. Well, they're both based on the same underlying principle, but there was a stark difference in how each of them handled this specific issue. And when I saw the options that we have unfold in each of them, I saw art imitating life. And so you have Dorothy, who was on a journey to Emerald City to find the Wiz. And along her journey, she met 3 friends who were all socially engineered. One of them, mind was controlled. One of them, heart was shattered. And one of them, courage was beaten. So they joined Dorothy in her journey to find the Wiz because they each believed that they lacked one of those 3 attributes. How these 3 attributes are affected by social engineering. You can plug anyone in the area of the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, or the Lion. You may even plug in yourself. But I'm speaking to my community, my Black community, my allies, and my accomplices. So we have our mind, our brain. The Scarecrow in The Wiz and in The Wizard of Oz was in search of a brain. But in The Wiz, he believed that he didn't have one because he was told this over and over again. He even had to recite a doctrine to remind himself that he didn't have a brain. He wanted so badly to get down from this apparatus that he was erected on, but he didn't. Not because he was stuck or fixed to it in any way. He was actually free to get down at any time. But he believed he could not, and therefore remained in his position. Social engineering perpetuates the type of mind control that the Scarecrow was subjected to. But our brains, our minds, are powerful tools that we possess. This is why we are fed what to think. We are told myths instead of truths. We are invaded by media manipulation that fuels righteous rage, encourages insanity by doing the same thing over and over and over with new people and getting old results. But we keep telling ourselves things will get easier just to ease our state of mind. You can't win, child. You can't break even. You can't get out of the game. Now the Tin Man, our heart, our compassion. In The Wiz and The Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man was in search of a heart. But in The Wiz, he was in search of a heart where people didn't have one. He believed it because everything that he knew was destroyed. Everything that he loved was taken from him. And just like the Tin Man, social engineering is desensitizing us. It is leaving us trying to control our emotions because our hearts are being hardened by false narratives, orchestrated divisions, traumas, and all the isms, ageism, sexism, classism, colorism, racism, false narratives that sets tones for things that happen to individuals or by those individuals that narratives are created around. Opinions that destroys, affects the heart set of those targeted. In the words of Bill Bullard, opinions are really the lowest form of human knowledge, for they require no accountability and no understanding. The highest form of human knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. It requires a profound understanding that's larger than a self-kind of understanding. Now, lastly, the lion. The lion was in search of courage in The Wiz and in The Wizard of Oz. But in The Wiz, the lion functioned by putting on this front that he was bigger and badder and bolder than what he really was, in hopes that the Scarecrow, Tin Man, Dorothy, and Toto would believe this. But when Toto came barking and those walls came closing in, he folded. Our spirit encompasses our courage. It is the anchor of our hope, our faith, and our fight. And no matter if it's deep-rooted anger or embedded terror that is used, a broken spirit is the gateway to defeat. And no matter how big and bold we try to pretend to be, when Toto come barking, we will fold if we do not exercise that courage. Social engineering must keep us blinded to the courageous spirit that we possess, because to grow is courage. To resist is courage. To lead is courage. Alexander the Great said it the best. I am not afraid of an army of lions led by sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. And so they made it to Emerald City, and they found the Wiz, and they each put forth their request. And he sent them on a high goose chase to go kill the wicked witch of the West before he granted them their wishes. And they achieved this task, just to return to find that the Wiz was a fraud. He never intended to grant them their desires. Social engineering was exposed. But here's the stark difference. In The Wizard of Oz, the Wiz gave each of the friends external awards as validations for what they were seeking. But in The Wiz admitted to being a fraud, a coward that hid behind the mask to make him more powerful than what he was. It was Dorothy, yes, she pointed to the evidence that each of them already had everything that they needed within inside themselves. They just needed to believe. The Scarecrow brain led them. The Tin Man's tears broke spells. The lion's courage saved them. So what does this mean for us? What does this mean for you and me? Whether I am trying to make a difference in the sports entertainment world, or we are trying to make a difference in our world, we can't do it by looking to a Wiz. We must remove all of the masks in which it gets its power. The education system, the employment system, the housing system, the judicial system, the political system have all long been the masks in which the wiz have hidden behind. We must reimagine and reconstruct what all of these look like. I agree with James Baldwin when he said, I still believe we can do with this country something that has not been done before. Social engineering is hijacking the progression of our world. We must deconstruct social engineering by freeing our minds, strengthening our hearts, and moving in courage to uplift our neighborhoods, to form communities that can create a place that we call home. We don't need external validations. It is and has always been in us.